plays here by Steve Smith.
Rick Fox pumps up a three.
Kenny Smith hitting the three.
Here's Isaiah. A goal! Mr. Big Shot.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Open Court here on NBA TV. I'm Ernie Johnson. I'm so excited to be here for another round of these shows. And this is a great show because it's all about NBA champions, what it takes to be a champion. And to be on the panel for this show, you have to be an NBA champion. Are the champions ready backstage?
Yeah.
At least one of them is. Introducing a guy who went to the finals once and made the most of it, won an NBA championship with the San Antonio Spurs. Go ahead and walk out. I'm not going to talk very long. Steve Smith, you're the Iron Man of Open Court, as a matter of fact. Number two, the guy who, I guess he's the only guy on the panel who looks better without makeup. Rick Fox, a three-time NBA champion and 4 trips to the NBA Finals.
I'm wearing makeup today, Ernie.
Yeah, I know you are, for no apparent reason.
I know.
There you
Never
go.
hurts, right?
LA, and I didn't cut it. Get a haircut. And I didn't cut it.
Twice to the finals, got himself a championship ring. Chauncey Billups. Hey, you guys hold your applause, okay?
You did that well, Ernie. I like that.
Yeah, you like that? I even put an extra P in there. Yeah. Chauncey, how are you, man?
I'm good. I'm good.
Our fourth panelist. And he and I were talking just the other night. And he said the Bad Boys was really a misnomer. They really weren't that bad a bunch. Two-time NBA champion. Isaiah Thomas is with us. Zeke.
Hey, what's happening? What's up?
Don't you? I love these low-key intros. A guy who has worked with me for, I can't even count the number of years. Kenny, two-time champion, by the way, Kenny, the Jet Smith. Oh, there
What to do the Arsenio?
What's up, Jet? How are
What's up,
you?
gentlemen?
What's up?
Hey, what's happening, boy?
What's up, champs? How y'all doing?
Good.
Good. So that's our panel for this show on champions. Oh. Shaquille O'Neal. Come on, big fella. 4 championship rings, 6 trips to the finals.
Big Smooth?
What are you
Go
doing, man?
He's making circles.
Okay. What's that on your finger there, by the way?
One of my rings.
Look at the size of that bad boy. Well, keep it down there on your, well.
No, this is how we do it, Ernie. What's up, boy? But I keep it here. I keep it here for the.
Look at the difference, though. The difference from the errors right there.
Wow.
That's
How many years apart is that?
Or the
That's
fingers.
probably
What?
4 years.
2 or 3?
4 years apart.
No, 2 years.
This is 2001.
No.
That one is.
Because they stole one from us.
Nah, we
2000.
took one.
Oh, you
y'all, in
stole
04.
one. Cut it out. We had
Took that one in 04,
a lot
but go
of
ahead.
turmoil on our team.
Ain't our fault.
So just exploited the turmoil.
Yeah, exactly.
I see some of you sporting your rings.
Yeah, I got 2 class rings.
Isaiah got on his McDonald's All-American.
I got 2 class rings. I mean, when we talk about different eras, they definitely,
Yeah. Well,
that and this.
that thing's not even a ring. That's like a platter. I
I
don't
think,
know.
Shaq, you were the first to supersize the rings, weren't you?
Yeah,
You
that's-
supersized that, Shaq?
Yeah,
I think Shaq was the first to supersize everything.
yeah,
No,
I think so.
because like it took us a while to get one. So like when they brought the first one, I was real disappointed. So I had to take it to my jeweler, tell my homeboy it up, because I definitely couldn't walk in the club with that. But
Smitty, what you got on there from
when I
San
got this
Antonio?
one done, boy.
Looks like a little class ring compared to that one.
No, it's nice. It's nice. And Jet, you're not wearing
Yeah, why?
either of yours.
Well, I gave my first to my brother, and my second to my dad.
To Vince?
Oh, no, my first to
Your
my
brother
dad.
Vince?
My first to my dad, my second to my brother Vince.
Uh-huh.
I like
Those are the 2 guys who helped me get there. So they walk around with it, and they do what Shaq does.
Yeah.
Look at, hey.
And yours is in a vault somewhere, I assume?
Yeah, I wish my story was that good. I just forgot mine.
Okay, well, we appreciate your honesty, and that's what we're all about here on.
You have so many of them. You just
Yeah, I mean, but when you're a champion, you don't have to worry. They know you're a champion.
Well, the first real question, aside from all that stuff, is when you reflect on that night, when you do get the ring, what emotions are you feeling, and do you have any idea, do you know what the ring's going to look like, or when you open that box, is that the first time you're seeing it?
Well, I think the guys in here are probably kind of the captains of the team. You kind of have something to do with the design of the ring, but you still, are anticipating that night, eagerly anticipating that night to open up that box in front of 20,000 and get that ring.
Is it sappy or syrupy of me to say that, yeah, when you open that and you look at it, you reflect on all the work it took to get there, or are you just saying, yeah, that's nice?
Which year are we talking about?
Ooh, don't
No, I'm just kidding. No, you're absolutely right. No, it is a ton of work to get there, and I know for me personally, the fear kicks in, the anxiety around staying on top.
Everybody get a look at Larry O'Brien, my closest friend.
When you win it, the first probably few days afterwards, there's a high. You've accomplished what you've been pursuing together for a long time. Like you said, Shaq, it took us a long time to get there. But then after you've become a champion, it's immediately you're the hunted now. So everyone wants what you have, and immediately for me, the anxiety would kick in, and staying there it became prevalent in my mind.
I'm actually kind of upset at you, Kenny, and Charles, because, for me, after I won my first one, after all the hard work we went through, I heard you guys say, can he win another one? Yeah. I'm like, damn, I can't even get 2-3 days. And after I win the second one, oh, yeah, big fella,
Show me the tape, big fella. I
don't recall. You did say it.
I don't remember saying it.
Ernie. I remember, Ernie. I remember because I'm sensitive.
Yeah, you are.
Stuff like
You're probably the most sensitive guy I know.
I am.
I remember saying it, actually. No,
I'm like,
I don't think that the question in my mind was, can he win another one? The question in my mind, if I did say it, was,
no, you said it.
Where is he going to be placed? Because now he's won the championship. Right. Is he going to be the greatest ever? And, because we always thought he was obviously a top 50 player. But then, where now he moved from, 45 to, 20 after one. Then you go from 20 to 10, and now where are you going to land as an individual player? That for me now is wow, he might be considered the greatest ever because now he won it early in his career.
Shaq, why were you sensitive though?
Because
about that statement.
No, because after watching Isaiah and watching Magic, we all have the same feelings. We wanted that, and when we played them in '94, '95, they demolished us. I always said to myself, if I ever get back there again, I'm gonna definitely win. But for me, it took me 9 years to get one. I'm like, can I enjoy it? And then these guys, can he get 2? Then when I get 2, can he get 3?
No, I don't remember.
Yeah, you said it.
I don't remember 3. I do remember saying, can you get 2?
Then when I get 3 and get traded away, they'll never win again. Then I get 4, can he get 5? He's too old. So, for me, it was never enough. But
I'm the one who said he'll never get 5.
No, but I just want to say thank you because you motivated me. I appreciate you very much.
That's the pressure with being on top. When you climb in the mountain and you're trying to separate yourself from everyone else, everyone's down here. But when you get to the top and they say it's lonely at the top, you really only talking to a certain few people that have ever played in the league. Maybe 1-2% of the people have ever won championships in the league. And so, the question is, how many times can you do it? So when you win it once, it's like, okay, can you win it again? And you want to keep winning it.
Long road for the Pistons, Hubie. A long, tough road. They're going down in the record books as one of the greatest defensive teams ever in the history of this league.
That long journey of a season, and 82 games, and you look back through that, there have to be certain times in that season that you think, yeah, this is a championship unit, or are we really a championship unit? What's that dynamic like, Chauncey?
Well, I mean, it's always a process throughout the season. The year that we won it, Indiana had the best record in the Eastern Conference that year, and they had a great team. They really did, and we went back and forth with those guys. And then, you go all the way through the playoffs and you win. But there are different mentalities that you pick up and carry on throughout the season. Whether it's, you going into the game and before the game, ripping myself, looking at each other saying, I don't know who we playing, but it really don't matter, or Ben and Sheed, doing their little thing before the game and saying, you take the big fella, I got you in the back, we'll switch up. You get tired, we'll switch up. You get 2 fouls, we'll switch up. So little things like that build the culture and build the camaraderie of what the team is going to become or not.
Yeah, that championship culture is what we talk about. What's the key ingredient? Is trust the key ingredient, or one of the key ingredients in a championship mix?
I think so.
Smitty, go ahead.
I think when you start to look at championships, I'm looking at all these guys and the team I play for, I think the best players have to buy into the culture, to what the coach is selling, what the GM is selling. If they don't buy in, it's obviously hard for everybody else to buy in. I think that championship culture starts with the best player, and then that's when it trickles down.
Yeah, I think the culture is big, but just going back to something too as well. That couch over there with Isaiah and Shaq, they had the pressure, would they win as individuals? Mm-hmm. We had the pressure as would we win as a team. Right. Mm-hmm. So when people always said, like, will Shaq win another one? They never said, will the Lakers win? Like, how many will Shaq win? So that pressure is way different. How many will Isaiah win? Way different than will your team, because you can always, when you have that night where you kind of you play good, you didn't play extraordinary, you didn't play poorly, you can fade into the paint. Mm-hmm. They could never fade into the paint of the building.
And did that pressure weigh on you, or did it motivate you?
It kind of motivated me. I didn't start winning until I learned how to trust my teammates. On the show, I always talk about 28-15. That was my number, and I was going to take as many shots as I can to get that number. But once I started trusting my teammates and getting my numbers, then we started winning. And these guys knew that I trusted them. I could look at Ricky, and Ricky know to get to a spot, and, I get it to Ricky. So, they easily took the pressure off me. I was going to get mine, but I know when I needed a bucket, I can go to Kobe, I can go to Ricky,
I didn't know
Big Shot
Ricky.
Bob. Yeah, Ricky. Okay. Big Shot Bob. So, again, when I started trusting my guys, that's when I started winning.
It was different for myself in terms of, like when Shaq left Orlando and went to L.A., he walked into tradition, culture, establishment. Chamberlain was on the wall, West was on the wall, trying to build what the Lakers already had, what the Celtics already had. For us in Detroit, it was a different kind of pressure and a different kind of walk and a different kind of path. So, because we were trying to do it with point guards, winning championships in a league that had traditionally been dominated by the big men in championships. For instance, we're going totally against the grain. We had a center that was shooting three-point jump shots. So we were just a very awkward team at that time.
Much more to come on this edition of Open Court. When we come back, we'll talk about the team that currently holds that bad boy right there, the San Antonio Spurs. We'll be right back. The art of the blend, it's something that the San Antonio Spurs have mastered with their basketball heritage dating back to the 60s in the ABA. They joined the NBA in 1976 and have captured 5 NBA titles. How do they do it? Well, it's the blending of great talents, key role players, and genius coaching. The Spurs system isn't about stars, it's about team. And as we continue our discussion of what it takes to be an NBA champion, and our NBA champions are all here, boy, when you reflect on what you saw in the finals last year, I mean, that San Antonio performance is going to be tough to beat from a team perspective and how they just dismantled Miami. As you watch that, Smitty, what stood out above all?
It was seriously 1 through 12. Every guy that came off the bench, Kenny likes to say it, and I love his take on this. You watch their bench, when guys are not in the game, I mean, they are up cheering, and you had a Patty Mills at times. In spurts, could be the best player for the Spurs. Kawhi Leonard, obviously, more time. Boris Diaw at times, and that's what you got to give a lot of credit to Pop. It wasn't just going to Tony, Tim, Manu. I mean, there were times when they were isolating Boris Diaw And, you know, their whole thing is good to great. Instead of taking a good shot, get a great shot, and the ball doesn't stick. I mean, that's the Spurs way, and it was inside out, and now they're basically playing outside in with the team they have now.
What I like about their role players is that they master their roles. I played with a couple guys that were masterful at their roles. Rick, Big Shot Bob, B. Shaw, Gary Payton, and, you know, the way they move the ball. You know, it was similar to when they beat us that year, the way they moved the ball. They hit timely shots, and, you know, they also had this look in his eye, a look in their eye that we're not going to lose, and it just showed. And, you know, like you said, 1 through 12, they played great. They hit timely shots, and, you know, Greg Popovich, you know, he's a master motivator.
Yeah. Popovich had a coach by the name of Hank Egan. I don't know if you met.
I played for Hank.
Yeah, and he was on Pop's staff for a long time. And, you know, so that philosophical thought of pass, move, screen, move without the basketball, get away from pattern basketball, get away from play calling, philosophical thought, me understanding you, critical thinking out on the court. You know, that's what they got back to. And it wasn't so much data and analytics. It was about growing the men and the values of the game. And that's what we saw in San Antonio.
It was a clinic. I mean, in ball movement and hit the open man who has an open, good shot, but I'll make the extra pass. This guy has a more open, even better shot. And it was that way the entire series, Chauncey.
Yeah, it was. And to your point, Isaiah, in order for you to play that way, you got to have basketball players. You got to have guys that know how to play.
As opposed to you got to have stars, you got to have basketball players.
Yeah, you got to have your guys that you got to have some closers that can finish the game out, but you got to have basketball players, guys that know how to play unselfishly with one another. The great teams, as we all know, the great teams, sometimes the coach, he don't have to call a play for 4, 5, 6 minutes in a game because you're out there just playing basketball.
The hardest.
Know how to play.
And not that they don't have stars. I mean, you got Tim Duncan, Tony Parker.
Yeah, but it's different. They were utilized differently. They were utilized differently. And now, today's, they said, well, we're going to give it to LeBron, or we're going to give it to Kevin Durant. We're going to give it to Westbrook, and we're going to pick and roll. And we're going to just keep the ball 80% in those guys' hand because we're scared that those other guys can't do it. And Popovich said, I'm not scared that my guys can't.
But you know what's interesting, though?
So would you rather have basketball players with higher IQ or basketball players that are very talented, guys that can run?
Or high IQ, because, high IQ guys
all day.
with talent.
Well, Coach Knight used to say this. You always take intelligence over ability. You know, you win with smart people. An interesting thing that I see with us on the panel is that all of us come from the same philosophical teaching tree. You know, you at North Carolina, Dean Smith, Coach Knight, passing game, Judd, passing game, San Antonio, passing game, yourself, Rick, Shaq. So when teams were playing against the Lakers and you had Phil Jackson sitting over there, you had Tex Winter sitting over there, you had that brain trust sitting over there, it was like, you gonna beat them?
That's an excellent point.
You got to play against that.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's the point?
And they really shoot. How are you going to beat them?
I mean, you win with smart people.
I've never been more proud of the team, nor have I ever gotten as much satisfaction from a season in all the years I've been coaching. To see the fortitude you guys displayed and coming back from that horrific loss last year and getting yourselves back in position and doing what you did in the finals. You're really to be honored for that.
Well, let's get to Greg Popovich, your old coach. Number one, tell me what you saw in the finals last year, and then is there a change in the Pop we saw then and the Pop you played for?
Oh, for sure. And that's why you have to say he's one of the best. I mean, when I played with the Spurs, it was David and Tim. We all spaced around. And you got the basketball to them, and you played off the double team. And it was 80-20. And when I mean 80% focus on defense. Pushing the guy to one way, push him into David and Tim. And it was all defensively. That's how you stayed on the court. Now you look at Pop now, and you kind of smile because he's definitely changed, Kenny. I mean, guys are getting up and down, pushing the basketball, taking a walk-in three. The ball had to go through Tim, had to go through David Robinson before, and I think he's changed with the evolution of his game.
Great coaching.
Also, and great coaching, like
Tony Parker's a Hall of Famer.
Yes.
would he be if he wasn't playing with Pop?
Absolutely not.
Probably
way.
not.
No.
That's my point.
And
And
by
it's
the way,
obvious to see that.
Right.
He could be just a good player.
How do you know that, though?
but
you
would
can't
Pop,
know
would
because it's
Pop-
certain skill
would Pop
set.
be Pop without Hank Egan?
I don't think so.
You know, and that's where
and then-
that's where we miss. And you
And then
know,
I think
it's
also
like,
will Pop be
like
Pop
that guy should be
if
talked.
David Robinson wasn't unselfish and allowed Tim Duncan to be the guy when he still could have been the guy. You got to have guys that, you know, are unselfish to be great, I think, to win championships.
I think
And the
that's
reason I
definitely-
say you can say that, Ernie, because when you saw Isaiah Thomas come in from college, you say, he's a Hall of Famer. We just got to see, remember we talked about how many rings will Isaiah win? We never said that about Tony Parker.
Is it more a compliment to Pop then? Is it
Yeah,
more
I think it's more of that. I mean, I think Tony is, I mean, he's very talented and has a great career, but he's had the advantage and the luxury of playing for this one coach for his whole career and letting him grow
Who knows what
into
he's
the
doing.
player that he's become and changing the system, too, because he's gotten better, he's gotten older. He's a great pick-and-roll player, gets in the paint. You can't keep him out of the paint. He's had a guy that understands that and allows him to be who he is.
So would you say,
It might be different if it was someone else.
so based on the question that you asked, Kenny, so is it fair to say that coaches make players rather than players make coaches?
I would say coaches maximize your potential.
I think sometimes it goes both ways.
I agree.
I think that players can showcase what a coach can do, but a great coach is always a great coach.
But you do have coaches who will say, you know what, yeah, I look pretty brilliant given the cast that I'm working with, make me look pretty good. So I think it works.
But I've seen guys
both ways.
coach Shaq that aren't in the Hall of Fame, and it won't be in the Hall of Fame.
I don't, you know, me and Rick don't want to call guys out, but, you know, what made Phil...
But you're about to.
Not really. What made Phil great is he didn't panic. So, you know, you guys heard me say this many times. If the general doesn't panic, troops don't panic. Like, you know, we'd mess up in the game and we'd be looking for Phil to call a timeout and he'd be like, I'm not bailing you guys out. Handle it. So, you know, we respected that. We learned from that. It helped us grow. Now, other coaches that we played for down by one in the timeout.
Well, you know, Popovich.
And you got Shaq. You know,
Yo, man,
the
call a
team
play.
still panic.
But that, if you look at the last 15 years or so, Pop, Phil Jackson, those two have pretty much dominated.
Right.
And they set the culture for each of those organizations, whether it's Phil in Chicago, Phil in L.A., now he's in New York, but the culture is set, I think, by those two men, and then it trickles down through their assistants, through the players, and there's a tipping point to where in that organization, the expectation when you join it is nothing but championships every year, regardless of what the lineup looks like, regardless of what your opponents look like. There's an expectation that comes with being a part of that organization. And I think I've been in Celtic organizations where even when we weren't having great years, they still thought we were going to win a championship. The expectation was still there. Same in LA. Now you see San Antonio. You know, regardless of what we thought was going to happen last year, they still superseded everyone's expectations.
Ernie, I have a question for Chauncey.
Shaq, go ahead and ask this of Chauncey.
Before you played for Larry Brown, was the coaching culture different for you to win those championships? Let me explain why. Because me and Rick played for a couple guys, practice 4 or 5 hours a day, get to the Western Conference Finals, lose to Utah. When Phil came, practice 1 hour, we meditate. Phil had this instant that he said it was the cousin of cannabis, but it smelled a lot like cannabis.
I would
bring it in
used to
every
live in
day.
Denver
No,
then.
sir, yeah.
And you were familiar with that smell?
Of course I am. I'm a police officer, Ernie.
Excellent answer.
No, but he'd come in, he'd make us meditate, you know, and it actually took us about, 4 months to get used to that? He'd come in and it was
What, the camp?
completely different of what we were used to.
Yeah.
He'd come in, we'd meditate for about an hour with the cousin of cannabis, and, you know, he'd tell us to meditate, and he would always tell us to think about not making it to the finals, but think about winning that championship. And as we got used to it, it worked.
I want to follow up on that. Can
I'll tell you what,
Yeah.
I'd love to hear it, and we need to take a break, but remember that thought, and it really wasn't a cousin of cannabis, it was a distant relative.
It was called Sage. Phil, I need that Sage contact you got. You think I could have blocked that sky hook? I think I could have got it. I could have got it a couple times.
I don't think you could have. You
Coulda
could have
got it a couple
goaltended it.
times. Huh?
You just gonna block it when? On the way up?
I could have got him, Zeke.
When Kareem was like 22, 25, 27, the stuff that he was doing in this league, Shaq, he'd have been, I love you, and you know I love you, but he'd have been giving it to you.
And we welcome you back to Open Court here on NBA TV. We're talking about championship teams. We've got a panel of champions, and we're going to test everybody's recall. I know in line here we have Chauncey to answer Shaq's question, which got derailed on the cousin of cannabis line, and then Isaiah wanted to jump in on that. So I think you were going to him on what, on Rick?
Yeah, his question was a good one. I mean, I had my first 5 years played for 5 different coaches, 4 or 5 different cities, and then finally found a blessing in coming to Detroit, and then in turn playing for not Rick Carlisle first, but Larry Brown. And his question was, how different was it? I mean, the way my career had gone, I don't think none of you guys' career probably went like mine at the start. And it was a big difference, playing for Larry Brown and coming in there, and practice was different. The field was different. He had championship aspirations for our team, and that was different. Not making the playoffs, maybe go second round this time or Eastern Conference Finals this time. It was championship, period. And that's all we talked about. That's all we prepared for. And it was just different. And it changes the mindset and the trajectory of the team in an instant.
When that coach comes in, you be like, oh, we're going to win it. You know it right away.
Absolutely.
Because what they have to do, and Rudy T did this, honestly, he was able to make everyone feel the same way every day. Like, a lot of coaches, they don't have that consistency. They say, okay, no one's above the team. We have to stay together. We got to lock arms. And as soon as there's some adversity, he pulls the arms apart because he'll make a decision that pulls the arm. But the great coaches don't care if they get fired. They don't care if they get a raise. They don't care if they're coaching in a rec. They're going to have the same philosophy if they're coaching a third-grade team or an NBA team, and they're going to stick with it.
And the biggest thing, Kenny,
and players love that.
Is you're right. And great players want to be coached. I think the greatest coaches coach the best players the hardest. And that's been my experience, and I just believe that. And you look at Popovich right now. I mean, he is on Tim Duncan and Tony Parker worse than anybody else.
Shaq will give it to you, right? But you got to fight you.
Yeah.
If you don't fight you, as a
him.
great player, Shaq, did you not respect the coach as much?
I would have to say yes. Phil stayed on me. Phil was really a master psychologist. He would interview you a couple hours, pass out books on, what type of person he thought you represented. He gave me a book on Friedrich Nietzsche. You probably don't know about Friedrich Nietzsche because you went to UNC. So let me
give you a Nietzsche quote?
Yes. Nietzsche was so crazy that he actually was a genius. So that's how Phil thought of me. He thought I was crazy, but he thought I was a genius. So, Phil knew what buttons to push to tick me off. He knew what buttons to push to tick Rick off. Like, I remember one time he didn't play Rick for like 4 straight games. But then when he played Rick went on a roll. So he was definitely a button pusher. But you're right. Like, if you didn't tick me off, then I really didn't respect you. And I couldn't play for you.
And you pushed him every year. We pushed, and you particularly pushed him more and more.
Yeah, more and more.
By year 4, I think we thought we knew the triangle better than Phil.
Yeah,
which got us in trouble.
Isaiah, I appreciate your patience because you've been sitting on a thought for a while.
It's all good.
But go.
Well, it's all good because it basically reinforces what I was thinking in terms of the great coaches. They teach from the neck up. They're more about teaching you the game of life and applying the game of life to the basketball court.
You know how they always tell you strive to be the best you can be and try to get everything out of yourself that you can as a basketball player, your potential. This is what it means. It means that I got the best out of myself as a small guy in this league, and that's all I can ask for.
The bad coaches, they only teach you from the neck down. They only concerned with your jump shot, with your inside pivot, with your pump fake.
That's a good point.
the name Kawhi Leonard. Everybody talked about, yeah, this guy's on the brink or this guy's really got some skills. I mean, he sneaks up on nobody the rest of his career.
Thanks for pushing me. Oh my God.
Oh my God. That's
what it's a crazy feeling.
That's what it's about, baby, right?
Yes.
You earned it. You earned it.
And I think that's a testament to the Spurs system. I think what they do better than most teams is develop. If you go to one of their practices or even watch them before the game, you're working on the shots that you're going to get in a game. You're going to shoot a corner three all the way up to that little breaking part. Most guys are not allowed in the Spurs system to shoot a top of the key three. And I think also just working on his jump shot and Pop giving him confidence.
The trade was George Hill for Kawhi Leonard. Now, if Leonard is with the Indiana Pacers, you know, is he the Leonard that he is with the San Antonio Spurs? You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, because at that time they had, you know, they had Paul George,
Danny Granger,
you know, Granger,
still there.
you know, so, you know, now he's with San Antonio and he gets a chance to develop. He gets a chance to find out who he is. When he was in San Diego playing at San Diego, you know, I think they went to the Sweet 16 or the Elite Eight.
And they made a run.
Yeah, I mean, so you knew he was a good basketball player, and you knew he was a great basketball player, but you just didn't know quite how he fit. And in the systems of passing game, read and react, you are looking for the players who don't fit the constructed box of point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center. You're looking for those interchangeable, versatile parts that you can plug in. Now, can they fit those boxes when they need to? Absolutely. But can they come out of those boxes? Chauncey Billups, 1 or 2? I don't know. Which night you want him to shoot?
Pop understands, and to me, is like everybody in the NBA has been a star before. Like, they just can't be stars over long periods of time. So he could take a guy and say for 3 games, 4 games, your role is increased. And he's going to trust you because, like, Ginobili has been a star, not NBA, but a superstar international. So when he comes to the Spurs, I remember asking him, I said, what's the hardest thing? He said, being a role guy. Because he's used to being the star with the ball. Everybody
Kenny
has been that.
He's the 6th man.
Exactly.
You tell Ginobili coming from Argentina and he's drafted by some other team in the NBA.
Oh, he's rolling.
You gonna be the 6th man?
No.
Dude.
But Zeke, I think
Get me out of here.
That's really Popovich. That's how great and clever he is because you say, yeah, he should be a starter for my team, but I can bring him off as a 6th man, and now I can put the ball in his hands. Now he's running every pick and roll, making every play because Tony Parker's watching. So really, it's a 6th man, but it's really a 3rd option.
When we come back, so you win the title, and now the target's on your back. What's that season like? These guys all know, and we'll talk about it when we come back.
Those guys have ate their fish, they pasta, they steak, they went to bed. they went to bed night before, you know, at 8 o'clock, 8:30. They've studied all your moves, and you just can't match their energy and their intensity for 82 games.
And we welcome you back to Open Court here on NBA TV, talking about NBA champions with NBA champions. So you win, and you get your rings, and the season begins. And then the target is on your back. And every time you take the floor, it's one of the biggest games of the year for the other guys. How difficult is that in the course of a year when you may not be feeling it one night, but those other guys who were 14th out of 15 in the conference the year before are loaded for bear and waiting for you?
Every night you play, you go into the opposing team's building. Those guys have ate their fish, they pasta, they steak, they went to bed. they went to bed night before, you know, at 8 o'clock, 8:30. They've studied all your moves, and you just can't match their energy and their intensity for 82 games. So some nights you're going to get caught. And And this was the beauty of Chuck Daly for us. At the start of the season, he asked us this question. He said, do you think you're good enough to go in anybody's building and win one game in a playoff series? And we all to a man said yes. He said, then home court is not that important to us this year. Let's make sure we get our rest and we stay healthy. So that second year, we didn't finish with the best record in the league. Actually, Portland finished with the best record. And, you know, we had to go out to Portland, and it was a 2-3-2. You know, so it was different, you know, but you can't match everybody's energy every night. So some nights, you know, you lose by 20. You know, the coach takes you out early. You know, you're down 20 in the third, and he just throw in the towel and say, okay, we'll save it for the next night.
You know, for us, we lived in a cute city, so the only problem...
Cute city.
Very cute city, so, you know, guys are coming to training camp, you know, doing things different. You know, but we were also the type of team that we would have to get mad for us to get back on track. So, you know, the second one was very difficult. The third one was very difficult, but we had so much going on that...
In the regular season?
Yeah, in the regular season. Yeah. We had so much going on in the regular season that it only took one or two things to just, you know, get us really, really, really upset, and then we would, you know, always gel at the right time.
But I think we would create a lot of... adversity for ourselves to keep ourselves entertained. Yeah. At the end of the day, you know, when I look back at it, because the first one took a lot of focus, it was probably our hardest one to get. And then once that happened, we were pretty confident about ourselves. We understood we had a good system. We had great players, stars, we had great supporting cast. But in the midst of facing 82 games in the regular season, if it wasn't a team that we thought we'd have to face down the road, we'd have a slow start. We'd come out the gates, you know, short in the first quarter. But then, you know, we'd eventually gather ourselves up.
And we were so good that, you know, we could be down by 15 in the fourth quarter and then come back and spank them. Spank them real good. That clip,
Why?
15.
Why?
Portland has 3 timeouts left. The Lakers have 2. Bryant to shot.
Does he always say that I fouled him and I didn't foul him?
You know, the same way it works against you, that your target is, it actually helps you some nights. Because if you get to the fourth quarter and you're up 9, teams would think they couldn't come back. Because they're going to a championship team. They're not going to make those mistakes. And you wouldn't a lot of times, but it actually worked in your favor. But I always thought the hardest part about this, because we were a 6 seed the second year they won it.
6 seed.
6. Yeah, with no home court advantage, no round. Every round started on the road. So you talk about, can you win a game on the road? We used to one time I got off the plane and we were in San Antonio and I was like, ooh, it's good to be home. We played for Houston, so Dream was like, oh, that's a good way to look at it, Kenny. But the hardest part for us, the second year, when training camp start, the guys who weren't used to a lot of attention, getting a lot of attention, and they came in with shades on the bus, the headphones on, not paying attention, where those were like your dirty guys, like that, just going like, they're going to run through walls, you know, because some guys just can't run through a wall because they playing too many minutes.
Kenny, what shades did you prefer, by the way, Kenny?
What's that?
Which shades did you prefer?
I was a Gucci guy.
Oh, okay.
But,
Kenny, did y'all come in and practice different? Was it a different philosophy for you guys practicing?
It was different for those guys because those were the guys that
not
would
everybody.
They would push you in practice as you was a starter. They stopped pushing you.
Yeah, earlier Shaq mentioned we used to only practice for an hour. I was like, I don't know what practice this was, but, you know, the stars carry the load. So, yes, Shaq needed to be on the treadmill at times or just resting because he had 3-4 guys on his back most of the time. And, you know, and the supporting guys like myself.
Thanks, Phil.
So you had me too. I would practice.
2.5 hour practice. But no, but that's what it was.
Like,
that's what it was about.
Yes, sir.
It was about knowing your role, too. It was about knowing what you did to support a Shaq and a Kobe, and at the same time know that regular season grind was about the rest of us stepping up and at times having to play bigger, and then maybe we would have to do in a playoff stretch. But yeah, you know, you're absolutely right. When we showed up and actually showed up like champions for 2 quarters, by the halftime, we could be up by 15 and 20, and more times than not, the rest of those teams would just pack it in. Especially because we were in LA. Because they're thinking, okay, they start star watching, gazing, thinking about where they're going.
For the next show, we're going to definitely have to split these two up. That's for sure.
It's funny. We had a very unique team, and you know we win the championship. We come back the following season, and we had this unbelievable ability to like flip the script. So we were good at like telling ourselves and believing it within the team, saying, no, we're still the underdogs. We wasn't supposed to win last year. You know what I'm saying? We wasn't supposed to win. Everybody thought we got lucky. Everybody thought it was because they had a lot going on. Maybe it was.
Yeah, it was.
Don't even matter. Don't even matter.
Oh, it was.
It was a scrimmage. It was a scrimmage. It don't even matter. It was a scrimmage. But we had this unique thing, man, where we still were able to.
Detroit always beats LA.
Come on, man. It's easy work.
I mean, every time we love to see the Lakers in the finals because it's just a sweep every time. It's just easy. I mean,
Because it's a cute
every
city.
time we see the Lakers.
It's about nobody else.
Just give me the Lakers. The Lakers just show
we
up.
took right after y'all, man.
All right. Back with the ever popular lightning round as we wrap up this edition of Open Court right after this.
So Danny bleeding, champagne burning. It's like, yo, man, you bleed. So, you know, he had to get stitches, but it was a fun time.
Check out NBA.com for more Open Court. We welcome you back to Open Court. We like to call this segment the lightning round. You could also call it the last 2 or 3 minutes of the show. You could also call it the last segment. You can call it whatever you want. We call it the lightning round. It's catchy. So when you're celebrating a championship, take the fans, the viewers, inside the pandemonium of a championship-winning locker room. Best thing that happens, craziest thing that happens. What? Because you're shaking your head, you get to go first.
It was, I mean, I hardly made it back to the locker room. I was in the stands. I was with my family. I'm with the homies. I rarely even made it back. And when I did make it back, I mean, it was pandemonium. I mean, it was champagne everywhere. It was crowded in there. It was crying. It was tears. Yeah. It was laughter. I mean, it was one of the most beautiful nights of my life.
Just for all you, I think, Kenny,
Go ahead.
So many people, and it's amazing how I could find my kids out of all them people. I could find my wife, I can find my dad, with all those people on the court. And then for me, it was special. Me and Kevin Willis grew up together. Same high school, same neighborhood, went to the same college. And Kev grabbing me, and I couldn't get it off. You know, Kev had me. Like, Kev. And Kev squeezing me, saying, we won one for the neighborhood.
Right.
But to me, that's huge, coming from east side of Detroit. Me and Kev won one for the neighborhood.
You mentioned kids, and that is, my kids were young at the time, and we were fortunate to win a couple of them. But, you know, champagne, beer, cigars, and I had a cigar in my hand and a champagne bottle. My son, all he wanted to know was why I was smoking. Why I was drinking. You're not supposed to drink and smoke, Dad. And then as we went along and won a couple more, we would do the parade each year. And we'd pull down the tunnel, we'd get out, and he'd see the buses again. And he'd go, oh, not this again, Dad. So, you know, the kids have different reactions. It means different things to them. This guy tackled me, first one, and poured champagne, all in my eye. I'll never forget that.
Well, just so y'all don't know, for those who've never won a championship, champagne burns.
Yes.
That's what I was going to say.
Just for those who don't know. It did twice. It really did mess my vision up, so I had to go get LASIK.
Yeah, I mean, you know, for us.
But the funniest thing is where Clyde, when the second one, he didn't know what to do. So he went, you know, the PR person grabbed him and took him to the interview room. So we're all in the locker room with the champagne. It was like, where's Clyde?
Guys who played on that team.
Hold on. He ain't get his champagne. Hey. That's his first. That's his first. Yes, sir. His first. Okay. I had to come get you.
He never came back to the locker. He didn't know what to do. I was like, no, this is the protocol when you were the champion.
We had a massage therapist. His name was Dan Garcia. So our second one, We was running, we was jumping around, and I slipped, and the champagne bottle busted in his head. So he in there bleeding, and
That's a funny story.
No, it's funny because at the time DMX had a hit record, so we was in there. Y'all gonna make me lose my mind.
Up in here.
Make me lose my mind. Up in here. Up in here. Y'all gonna make me lose my mind. Up in here. Up in here. Y'all gonna make me lose my mind. So Danny bleeding, champagne burning. Y'all Rick was like, yo, man, you bleed. So, he had to get stitches, but it was a fun time.
Isaiah, you avoided getting anything on Chuck Daly's suit, right?
No, I was pouring champagne on everybody. I was happy, and I remember, like Steve said.
That song you sang, what was the song?
Heaven must be like this. That's exactly how it felt.
Do it again, bring him.
Must be like
Bad boy remix. Bad boy.
I'll never forget. That's what I remember about you, singing that song.
A place where I can find happiness. A place within your loveliness.
And on that note, we wrap.